Just when you thought it was safe to come back to YouTube, just when you thought this channel was dead, well, I've risen it from the grave. I have performed the ceremonies. I have raised this channel from the dead just in time for All Halloween. More or less, if I can get the editing done right. You might have noticed this is actually a voiceover on top of separate footage. The reason for this is that while the video footage did take quite nicely, for some reason the microphone didn't actually pick up everything, so I'm having to edit this on the fly, and I've got lots of footage to go through, and even at this point there's still additional stuff I need to film and then splice in. Hopefully I won't have to redo the voiceover stuff for that as well, but well, early days, and I have a very busy day of editing ahead of me, amongst other things that I need to do as well. But hey ho, I aren't doing this for money, I am doing it for fun, I think. Anyhow, what you can see in front of you right now is a skull, a light-up skull I reviewed in the last Halloween special I did, God knows when, and I've just turned the lights on for effect here, because that was in the dark. That was obviously in the dark, and here I am in the light. And this was actually when the point where all of the recording as far as audio is concerned failed. Now that might have something to do with the light ring and interfering with the microphone, I don't know. Anyhow, as you can see, I bought something quite similar, and I turned the lights off, and then I turned them back on later. Well, I will turn them back on later. I'm actually fiddling around at this point trying to find the button to turn this on, and you can see, because this is a pumpkin, and it's made out of orange plastic, which isn't as solid, it's actually given off more of a glow, just like a real pumpkin wouldn't. Because you wouldn't actually see that much glow through the skin of the actual pumpkin itself, because it's got quite thick skin, doesn't it? Whereas a skeleton, on the other hand, kind of gives you a whole different thing. As you can see here, that kind of looks like a batarang from Batman, or a bat if you like. It's just the kind of design you go for. Alright, so we're still in the dark at the moment. Do I turn the light back on? No, I don't, because I've got this Dracula thing. This is something I'm going to have to splice footage in, and oh yeah, there you go, there's the lights coming back on. If you're getting blinded by that, sorry, but that will happen a few times throughout this video, where I have to turn things on and off as far as lights are concerned, just to give you some sort of indication of how things work in the dark as they're meant to. You can see the glowing lights there for eyes, you can see the tongue that snakes out. There is a voiceover, and of course I will have to splice something in. Lights are off again, and ooh, look at that, look at that. Okay, I think this is a good point to splice some footage in here. So here we are back to the proper footage itself, and you can see I'm trying to get the damn thing out of the box in here. It's proven to be a bit difficult because it is actually quite securely in place by none other than, if I recall correctly, some sort of screw ties. Yeah, you can sort of see them right there. Yep, just there. There's the screw ties. It's just sort of screwed in place quite securely with those. Are they called screw ties? Are they called something else? Are they just called ties? Ugh. Anyway, you can see there's a place for it to be screwed into fitting on the wall. So screw a screw into the wall and rest that on top of that, and hopes nobody decides to steal it. And here we go, in the dark again, just to give you some idea of what it's like. That actually looks kind of scary, doesn't it? In the proper setting, it does generally give you the screaming willies. So moving on to something else, we have a traditional set of vampire fangs. Fangs for vampires, fangs for children, really. Yeah, these are an old stable. I mean, you can still get these sort of things for years and 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 years. You'd have thought by now somebody would have probably tried to ban these things for health and safety purposes, because let's face it, you're putting plastic in your mouth. How often do you think children might try sharing these sort of things once it's been somebody's mouth? But then again, some children are quite picky and they will simply turn around and say, "Ew, that's been in your mouth, I'm not doing that." But I can kind of remember one time, it wasn't even around Halloween, it was some other time of the year when I was back in first school. There was one child, I'm not going to mention his name, but he was a rather problematic child, shall we say. A little not quite all there in certain regards. And he actually found, during a school break time, he actually found a pair of these just in the school in the bushes that we had around the school playground, and he put them in his mouth and started going around trying to bite other children. Yeah, that was just absolutely weird and bizarre, but then again, he was a bit of a weird and bizarre child as well, so... yeah. Not quite sure. There's bound to have been somebody else will have done that at some point since then, I'm sure of it. There will have been some other child who has been just as troubled doing the same thing. But here we have a whole load of glow-in-the-dark skeletons. In their packaging, quite securely packaged. And yeah, these are the glow-in-the-dark kind of things. So, let's just jump to having them out and about. And you can see that there's actually 2 of them. And they've got no articulation whatsoever, because they're not really meant to be articulate, but they do glow in the dark quite nicely. So, them bones, rattle them bones. One of them seems to glow in the dark just ever so slightly more than the other. Must be the quality of the plastic or something like that. Ah, well, I shall have to pick a bone with the manufacturers. Yeah, that was pathetic, wasn't it? Alright, moving on. We have the devil. The devil's skeleton. Yes, this is far more articulate in many different regards. In fact, it's so articulate and so large, I've decided to zoom out a bit. Just as well, I've decided to use the wide-angled lens. You can see there's a cloak here, just to help to sell the idea that he's evil, because all evil characters wear cloaks, don't they? Batman. Yeah, and, you know, you've got a bit of limp wrist motion there, because the joints aren't that secure in that particular wrist, but the other wrist is very nice and secure. There's a good degree of articulation, but of course the main thing about this is that you have piano playing action. Well, you've got them bones, the knee bone, the hip bone, and everything gives a good bit of manoeuvrability, but only on one axis. It can go up and down, but not side to side. But here's the skull. And now this skull is obviously unique to this particular version of it, because it looks like the devil. It's designed to look like that, whereas this one is just the more traditional skull kind of thing for this one. It's got a moving jaw, whereas this one doesn't. This one's quite solidly in place. But this one is otherwise exactly the same skeleton. These are just a reuse of some traditional skeletal type things that you see around the place. They're just done differently. I mean, this one on the left is supposed to be some sort of pirate type thing. You know, judging from the looks of it. Odd, but there you go. Anyhow, yeah. They're otherwise identical, they've got the same range of motion. If anything, I think the one on the left is a bit more scary simply because of what you can do with the jaw, whereas the one on the right, perhaps not so scary because it looks inhuman and therefore doesn't quite have the same effect. And it's all red. I mean, let's face it, if you were to kill the devil and skin him and whatnot, would he actually have red bones? I somehow sincerely doubt it. Anyhow, we now are onto the Frankenstein bolts. I think you can see the problem with this, because this is supposed to be Frankenstein's neck bolts, but they're actually on some sort of hair braid type thing that you would put in your head to keep your hair out of the way. Yeah, I don't recall Frankenstein having bolts in his head. They were in his neck. But on a similar idea, we have another one of these Ray-Ban type things, this time with pumpkins on the top. Jacqueline? Who is Jacqueline? Why am I saying Jacqueline? Jack-o'-lantern? So I forget who I'm even trying to talk about now. Some sort of pumpkin lantern type things whose... If you can figure out what the hell I'm supposed to be saying when I'm talking about Jacqueline, please put it in the comments below, because you'll be one up above me, that's for sure. But yeah, we've got this orange pumpkin headband type thing, which, you know, looks a bit tight and horrible and whatnot, but then you got the actual, you know, the actual laughing, bouncing, horrible kind of, I'll call these were actually quite difficult to turn on, but they are obviously jack-o'-lanterns, is that the proper term? I forget now. Oh, what the hell. Now, I'm turning the lights on and off all the time here because I'm trying to figure out some way to actually turn the damn thing on, because there is a button,
but the button just doesn't seem to want to work, at least not while it's still secured, so I'm desperately trying to tear it out of its packaging to see if that would perhaps help get it to work properly. No, still nothing there. Oh wait, there we go, it's one of those little protective things that stop the batteries from working properly. So lights off and lights on. Oh my god, that's epileptic. If you suffer from epilepsy, sorry, I should have really gave a warning about that, shouldn't I? Yeah. But they're all various different settings, so you can have them just constantly lit like that, or flashing in various different ways. Would probably have been more useful to even have them alternating, but unfortunately that doesn't seem to be one of the options. And now to terrify everybody who's afraid of spiders! A great big fucking spider. Let's just read from that thing and just take a look at that. That's... Is that an ice sculpt? I'm not sure if that counts as an ice sculpt, because it's kind of disgusting looking, just like all spiders are. And if you're afraid of spiders, you're probably going, ew, put it away, put it away, put it away! Yeah. But do spiders just have two red eyes like that? I mean, aren't their eyes supposed to be multifaceted or something? But it's got the proper number of legs, and what's worse than one spider? One great big spider than a whole load of tiny little ones. Let's just get the bag open, and then just let everything go flying all over the place, because, yeah, they're a different design, and they're smaller, but there's loads of them. Yeah. Bit of a cheap, nasty plastic, as I remember, but, you know, it's just something you're going to put on your shelf somewhere, just to sort of hide things. Well, not hide things, just sort of let people get spooked out if they see it. Here's something else that might spook people out if they see it as well. You know, for all of 2 seconds until they realise just what the hell it actually is. Yeah, it's one of these little clockwork mice type things that's supposed to just drive over surfaces, but it's a bit of a problem to use because that surface is absolutely fine to use. It's just the wind-up mechanism goes so quickly. Once you actually start tightening up, you really have to hold it in place really determinedly to allow it to actually do anything. And even then, when you let it go, it's very random. And of course, with all the stuff on the desk, it's just sort of gonna go anywhere and then stop. So it's not got a particularly powerful motor, but it will go and go and go, so long as there's nothing in the way. And I suppose if you just deposit that in the middle of a crowd, it will clear the room. We've got the Franken hammer. Does it glow in the dark? No. That's disappointing. Guess what happens when you wave it like that? It makes a noise. Let's play some footage in. One thing I will say that when you hit this really hard against different things, you can sort of feel that the head will end up coming off because it's just meant to be waved through the air more than anything else. If you do end up connecting it with anything that's suitably hard, it'll probably just break quite easily. And here we have from Playmobil. Yeah, who knew there were still licenses and stuff from Ghostbusters? Who knew there was still licensed stuff from the original Ghostbusters? Because here we have Egon Spengler, some sort of Baron Samedi type dead evil Willy Wonka ghost, zombie type thing, and an actual ghost. As well as a proton pack, a ghost trap, a PK meter, a wand, a proton stream, a radio walkie-talkie, and somewhere in there should be a proton pack accelerator gun wand type thing. Yep, there's that as well. Well, I think I'm just going to jump to the footage where I actually have all of this out, because, let's face it, we're going to be pushed for time no matter what, and I don't particularly want to have to do an opening bit again pointlessly, so let's just jump forward to that. Okay, so I've got Egon Spengler out of the box now, and I've got to say, you've got the standard Playmobil kind of maneuverability, range of motion and so on and so forth. Head does not go all the way around, which is actually quite natural for once. Nice to see a toy that does actually take into account the limitations of the human neck. Here's the thing though, it's definitely based on the movie, but it seems to be doing a sort of hybrid of the movie hairstyle for Egon and the cartoon hair for Egon, in that he had that sort of enormous blonde quiff that he has from the cartoon series, but just black and not as quiffy. So kind of maybe a bit more like the hairstyle from the movie, but not quite, because it's a bit of a hybrid. And here we have dead evil Willy Wonka. Or is that the evil dead Willy Wonka? I don't know, but he does look pretty fucking scary, doesn't he? You can see that there's two different kinds of plastic. The solid plastic for the coat. The coat does look like it could come off, and it probably would do, but there's just not that kind of mobility. You'd have to take the arms off in order to actually get that coat off. But then you've got the plastic that makes up his skin, and that is, as you might imagine, translucent. That is actually glow-in-the-dark kind of plastic. There will be a section where I actually turn the light off again just to prove that, but as you can see, I'm having the usual trouble getting the camera to focus on something that close to it. Yeah, it is a bit annoying, but there you go. You can have him do the I surrender thing. I wonder what would happen if the Ghostbusters shot a zombie with their proton packs. Would that just make it go like something from a horror movie, or would it actually just get sucked into the trap like everything else would do? Alright, what else have we got here? We've got various different bits and pieces, such as the proton pack backpack thing, which you snap on like that, and then you put the actual proton pack itself on. And the proton pack does look quite accurate to the movie, to what you see in the movie itself. If the... yeah, there we go. The autofocus has done its job. It's earned its pay for the day, albeit very slowly. And then you've even got the PKE meter, as per the movie. Bit of a hollow back, which is kind of typical, but hey, beggars can't be choosers, I suppose. We've got the proton wand around here somewhere. We've got the ghost trap around here, which you have to assemble. You have to put the actual lid bits on. And I think I actually lost one of the lid bits initially, and then managed to find it because it was still in the bag or something. Well, tell you what, let's just fast forward a bit here. Yeah, that's a bit better. We've got Egon Spengler complete with the proton stream flying around all over the place. Haven't bothered to put the actual material on to put everything together. Yeah, okay, there's the other bit of the trap. That's all done. There are basically wires to connect the trap and the proton pack to separate parts together. Oh, Willy Wonka doesn't want to stand up. Egon doesn't want to stand up. I wonder if you could put the proton pack onto Willy Wonka. Indeed. And again I shall go as I do stuff off camera. Let's just fast forward again. Right, I managed to find Willy Wonka's hat and put that on him. So yes, I was right. There was something like that. I was thinking in the back of my head that there was some kind of hat. But here we have the ghost. Lights are off and we can see that the ghost is glowing. We can see the other stuff in the background glowing as well, including evil, dead Willy Wonka. And now he looks more like something out of that James Bond movie with Roger Moore. Whichever Roger Moore movie it was that had voodoo in it. And blaxploitation and so on and so forth. But, yeah. The ghost's glow seems to have faded, unfortunately, quite quickly. That's a bit unfortunate. Lights back on, and let's just see if we can see some of the detail on the ghost. Yeah, you can, kind of, but it's very, very, very faint, which is kind of understandable given that it's supposed to be a ghost. But I'm now thinking, as I'm watching this in retrospect, could you actually fit anything in the ghost's hand? Not Wonka's hands, but the ghost's hands, because he has sort of two little claw-like things at the end there. But I didn't think of that at the time, so I've got no footage of that. I'm not going to go and splice footage of that in to anything else either. There's the wires I was talking about earlier. I'm not going to bother doing that. We've got the ghost trap. You can see where that wire connects there. You can see where the wire connects to the proton pack to the gun. And yeah, quite a nice little figurine actually, and in its own right that would go nicely on a shelf. Or even better, in a child's play group type thing, because that's what it's meant to be, because it's a child's play thing. But of course it's more aimed at the adults who grew up watching Ghostbusters more than anything else, because let's face it, we're gonna like them. One little thing I will say about the Egon Spengler thing, on the shelf that I found it on, it was the only one out of these Ghostbusters toys that was still around. All of the other Ghostbusters were gone. There was about half a dozen Egon Spenglers. And yeah, I say all of that while I have, of course, a cobra dancing in front of me. Little fun fact about the cobras: if you see snake charmers charming a snake, they're not. It doesn't work. It's a complete fraud. Okay, when you see the cobra dancing to the music, it's actually the snake charmer moving back and forth, mirroring the snake, not the other way around. And if you're wondering why the snake charmer doesn't get bit, it's because they've actually basically detoothed the cobra. Yeah, but that basically means the cobra is dying. Yeah, it's actually dying, which means it's going to be dead quite soon. Maybe not within minutes, but long enough for the snake charmer to try to make some money from that little scam. At least that's what I've read anyhow. Maybe they really do charm the snakes. I don't know. All I know is what I've read on the internet. Nevermore! Nevermore! I said it first. I said it first. Nevermore. Yes, it's a raven. It's a raven with red eyes. And it really looks awful, doesn't it? Yeah, let's just put that to one side and forget about it, because it looks awful. It feels awful to the touch. Like this bat does as well. Yeah. But that said, if you've got it hanging up properly, it's gonna do the job. You've got that little thing there to hang it by, and let do that. Those wings do actually look kind of convincing when you make it bounce up and down like that, but not entirely sold by the green on the ears. Is that just to make it look scary? Do bats actually have green ears? Comment below, let me know. What have we got next? Another snake. Why does it have to be snakes? Yeah, these are those sort of... I remember this as a child's toy. I'm not actually that surprised that it's still around. I just remember them being longer as a child. Mind you, that said, I seem to remember seeing some of them in, I think, reception class in first school. And they were longer, but the kid who had brought one in actually showed me how to disassemble it, how you could, you know, take the rungs off, so to speak, and make it much shorter. Obviously, it's exactly the same technology. It's just, it's not something that needs to have changed to be improved anyway, because I don't think you could improve something so basically simple and effective. But yeah, you could knock those rungs off and make it shorter. I think that would permanently break it though, because the plastic was a bit brittle and probably not going to really bend that well. But never mind. Let's just see, what have we got next? We have light up balloons. Now for this, what I'm going to do, there's a whole load of glow in the dark stuff. I'm going to do a jump cut to show you what they all look like. So you can see some of these here. There are other things as well that also need to be dealt with separately, such as these other light up balloons as well. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to do a jump cut. Okay, so this is going to be the first of the inserted footage for this particular segment. There's going to be 3 sections here. First of all, the wigs. Yes, isn't it convincing? Because I'm worth it. Next up, it is going to be the sparkly glow-in-the-dark things, and then there's going to be something else of that, which I can't remember at this point in time. Just what it will be, but it will be there. So 3 inserts, and then back to the normal footage. Yay, as you can tell, it's a wig. It's a very unconvincing wig. Although, I'll be honest, as I look at myself in the viewfinder there, just off to the right, it does look kind of alright. I don't think you'd really want to be running a hairbrush through it, because it'll probably end up tearing everything out. But yeah, I mean, in general terms, it looks kind of okay. I mean, it's quite fetching with my beard. It's all done in the best possible taste. Give yourself a pat on the back if you get that reference. But I haven't just got one wig to show you. I've got at least 5. Let's take a quick look at the next one. Okay, now this one was a bit more difficult to get into, and that's probably because it's a bit more elaborate, but you can see, oh, we've got pigtails here, look at me, I'm Zippy Lawn Stockings, and whatever Dr. Evil was saying when he was trying to get Scott Evil to shut up at least one occasion. Yeah, it's perhaps not quite as well put together as the other one, but that's probably because it's a lot more elaborate. Notice that the hair seems to be a bit more puffy on this side. Somebody's evidently not quite tightened everything as well as it could be. Let's just take a quick look at the back. And of course I can't see myself at all here, can I? But you perhaps can. Anyhow, I think it's quite a fetching shade of green. All you need to really do in that case, if you want to become a very effective version of the Hulk, is just, you know, paint yourself green and pretend you're a very angry, on-the-rag version of She-Hulk who's upset about her hairdo not being quite right. Yeah, I know She-Hulk isn't as pissed off as her cousin is, but hey, there you go. Okay, now this particular wig is easily the worst out of the lot so far. It's got highlights supposedly, but whoever's put this one together either hasn't done a particularly good job of attaching the wig particles to the actual skull cap that goes on, or it's gotten really badly damaged in transit, or possibly both. This particular wig is very difficult to actually get to fit onto your head, or at least it has been in my case. The strands seem to be much lower quality. It just doesn't seem to want to work in any way, shape or form. Yeah, it's a bit of a disappointment. I mean, it kind of looks all right in general, in some regards. I'll just move back a bit and wait for the autofocus to try to sort itself out. But no, I'm not feeling this. Let's just take a quick look at the back. As you can probably see, I'm probably not looking much better. But it's not uncomfortable to wear once it's on, but getting it on is a bit of a problem, and it feels really matted and damaged and whatnot, which is a bit weird because they all come with a hairnet to obviously keep it as good as possible. Okay, so just to give you an idea there. Yeah, there you go. I now look like John Rambo has really let himself go in the 70s and joined some sort of progressive folk music act rock thing. Yeah, not impressed with this particular one. And the thing is, it looks so good on the packaging. It really does look quite fetching and whatnot and so on and so forth. I mean, it obviously does help that you've got a rather attractive young woman modelling it for you, but she's obviously got the very best wig that they had as well. This one, yeah. Okay, I have got to admit, again, this is another case of, well, I can't even see the camera to be honest because the fringe is in the way. Yeah, let's just do that. That's a little bit better. This kind of looks alright in some regards, especially on the packaging. Again, a rather charming, fetching young lady who's modelling it for it, and you know, her wig looks quite well done. I think it's supposed to sit further back than how I've got it, but her do. She has the fringe actually in front of her eyes, and it works on her case. But in my case, whoever's put it together doesn't seem to have been able to have gotten it in the right position. I mean, is that the actual? Yeah, that's some lot of hair there. Just to give you an idea of what the inside of these look like, I'll just grab the green one because it's closest. You've got this material here, which is what the cap basically sits on top of your head, and it has all of these bits weaved into it. This looks rather fetching on the lady in the photo on the modelling stuff. It looks alright now that I've got that fringe sort of out of my way a bit, out of the way of my eyes a bit, but then you take a closer look at where the hairline is supposed to be and it doesn't quite seem to work as well as perhaps it should do. But you know, right now I've got sort of the Sauron, the white Gandalf, the white kind of look. You could always conceivably tie it back at some point maybe and go for the Geralt of Rivia kind of look. Maybe not, but it is a rather nice piece in its own right, except when the threads actually get into your eyes like they are right now, because that is actually quite hurting and aggravating things a bit. It looks great on the packaging. In practice, it really seems to depend on whether or not the particular wig you buy has been made to a good standard. And somebody's just trying to text me on my phone. Oh dear, don't they know I'm filming? No, of course they don't. Nobody knows I'm filming. I'm doing this off my own head. Okay, now this one is simply called the Halloween wig. It kind of vaguely makes me think of the Bride of Frankenstein hairdo, but not to the same extreme degree, and to some extent Trunks and Goten from Dragon Ball Z when they end up doing their fusion dance and end up in, what is it, Go Trunks or Trunkton or whatever the hell it was. You know, for some reason even the hairstyle ends up getting fused into something really weird and bizarre. Bizarrely enough, out of all the wigs that I have tried here, this has fitted the best. It's gone on straight away. The others were all a bit of a struggle to get on to my head because you had to figure out a way to actually get them on first, and then you had to arrange the hair itself to look as fetching as possible. Whereas this, it's all sort of prefixed. I wonder if I do it this way. I've suddenly got something completely different. A sort of nightmare of Wolverine going really grey, maybe. Or really, really stupid. Yeah, but, yeah. There you go. Yeah, out of all the wigs, I have to recommend this best because it's the simplest and easiest to put on. Oh well, who'd have thought? On to the next shot.
Okay, and now we are here for the glow stick portion. I've got a little hand light just in front of my camera just to give me a little bit of spooky light here, but here we have at least a small selection of some of the glow sticks. What looks like a red one, a greenish yellow, and then this translucent one. We've also got a wand. Yeah, a magic wand. It actually comes, the tube itself that has the all the protective, well, it's got a protective sheath on, which is to protect the actual wand itself, the actual stem of the wand, to stop it from getting damaged. You also have glasses. Yeah, or at least the frame of the glasses, and again, they have a protective case for their glow stick bits. Now you put all of these together, and they just look like they're sort of glowing in the goo. I was going to say goo finder. Yeah, it does sort of look like they're glowing in the viewfinder, but they're not. But I can show you what these look like made up already, because I'm not going to waste the time it takes to actually put this together, because I've already done so. Yeah, look at that. Isn't that something? Let's just get that light away so you can see it more sort of in the true darkness, so to speak. Yeah, that is what you would be doing ultimately. As soon as you bend these sections, it breaks all the gases and liquids and whatnot and actually creates a reaction that gives you these specks, these ever so likeable, fancy glowing specks. Yeah, that looks rather nice in the dark. You can't see through them if you wear them. You can see through them quite well. They don't obscure your vision unless you've designed them to go and obscure your vision. They work quite nicely. So let's just take a look at this wand again. You can't see it at the moment because it's not actually broken yet. You just have to do this, and hey, we have light and colour and whatnot. And the dodgy broken wand. Tell you what, let's just see if we can zoom out a bit. Yeah, there we go. You can actually see the specks at the bottom. Yeah, that's looking quite glow in the dark there. We'll just make this all sort of glow a bit more. Yeah. See that? Oh. Yes, of course, lightsaber noises, of course. I wonder if they've ever bothered to try to make lightsabers that way with actual, you know, glow in the dark kind of bits. Excuse me a minute, I've got a bit of a noise in the background. Right, now that that's sorted. Right, now that that's sorted, let's go back to the glowing around. And you can see it does illuminate my hand quite nicely as well. I mean, that's going to provide a bit more entertainment value overall. Yeah, well, I'm a bit with better fingers. But let's see, what else have we got here? We've got all of these little glow-in-the-dark quite bits. Tell you what, let's just see if we can get that to stay up like so. Maybe, yeah. Okay, there we go. Yeah, we've got all these different colours of red and whatnot, and they all have little loops on, so if you get a load of these and just sort of, you know, do whatever you have to get these to work. Okay, they don't seem to break the same way. How do you actually get these to do something? Oh, there we go. It just takes a little bit more effort than I thought. Yeah, we've got red, or sort of purpley blue. We've got Sam L. Jackson's lightsaber here. We've got his lightsaber finger. Yeah, that does glow up quite nicely, but you can see it a bit more clearly here. You've got that loop there. Get enough of these all together, and you sort of just loop them together. Is this a translucent one? Might be. I can't really tell because it's a bit on the dark side. They are a bit of a bugger to actually break though. Oh, there we go, finally. Blue-ish. Kinda, yeah, it's blue. Hang on. I have to do this. When I left you, I was but the master. The only master of the evil, Darth. Luke, I am your father. You haven't taken my hand off. Now I have. What should that have been? No! Yes, I am your daddy. Let's try this other one. Yeah, that was pathetic, wasn't it? Oh, green. I shall not fight you, father. Whoops. Oh, well, yeah. That's the hands-off approach to parenting of Darth Vader. Countermanded with the hands-off approach to sunning by Luke Skywalker. Similar approach that he has to uncling, except that Kylo Ren still has both limbs and arms and whatnot, and legs and every other body part. Rey hasn't dismembered him yet. Although I think she might be leaving the more interesting body parts for later. You know, for her own personal use. If they are indeed going to go down that kind of route, who knows? Alright, okay, so that's that segment. On to the next segment. Okay, so splicing footage time. So we have, out of the first pack, which was all the different ghosts, yes, we have light up ghosts like this. They've all got different face patterns on. There was about 5 to the pack, but they all have an LED in the top. Unfortunately, this one didn't particularly work that well, but it's the same basic technology in all of them. The second pack was, of course, our friends, the jack-o'-lanterns, the pumpkins. Again, there's an orange LED in there, which isn't going to show up too well in the light I've got right now, but tell you what, let's just turn one of these lights off. Which meant having to lean out of shot to do so, but hey, there you go, it actually works. And just to compare that to one of the ghosts from earlier, yeah, they work, they're quite nice. It's the same basic technology in all of them. For example, from the larger parts, I'm precariously positioned in order to take this kind of shot, and it's failing miserably to work. But this came from the larger set. It is a bat. This goes a little further in that you also have little bits to stick on with glue, such as those wings and these ears. But it always remains the same. There's an LED in the top here. I think the LEDs are colour specific for each kind of balloon as well. So we've got a purple LED in this one. We've got the white ones in the white ones. We've got the orange one for the orange ghosts, and so on and so forth. This one is a ghost. The wing for this one won't stick on particularly well, no matter what I do with the glue. And finally we had the green one, which I think might be the wrong way around. Yeah, there we go, that looks like a discernible face. This is supposed to be a spider, but it meant sticking on more legs than I was really willing to bother with. Yeah, green LED there. Yeah, there you go. So how does all of this work? In all cases, all of them start off life like this. You can see this little tag here. You pull them out like so, and this is supposed to basically trigger the LED in the top. After that, you have what's called the universal measuring type yardstick. There's a hole here that you put onto the top of the actual balloon, which you can probably just about see here. Like so, you see that? Yeah, autofocus doesn't do any favours. Then you blow it up as according to the shape and size of the balloon itself, and then take this off. And that's supposed to actually trigger the actual ignition of the LED light bulb. There's no way to turn them off, I'm afraid, but you're only going to have them up for one night or two, and after that you're probably going to make them go pop. They are latex balloons, so of course if you have a latex allergy, don't be anywhere near them, because it will expand and all the little rubber bits will expand and go out into the atmosphere, where you will breathe them in and probably trigger your sinuses or whatever the problem is, and then you will die horribly. They also come with these things. I'm not quite sure what they are because the instructions don't go into them. And also in the third set, there is basically this thing here, which none of the other instructions basically go into any detail about. They otherwise all feature quite the same universal instructions here, including instructions on how to deflate them. Bugger that. And in the case of the third set, you have all of these little cards with all the little bits that you're supposed to stick on. Yeah, that's great, isn't it? Well, there's one other thing. Where have I put them? Oh yeah, you then stick those legs and whatnot on with these little glue packs things, and they do a reasonable job apart from that one leg on that one wing on that angel, which doesn't seem to want to know. Right, back to the main footage. So we're back from all that hubbubaloo with the wigs and the glow-in-the-dark stuff and so on and so forth. So what have I got next? Well, first of all, I'm just gonna have to push all this stuff out the way, and you can see I've got wind-up toys. I
think that's the proper term for them. I've got actually quite a few of them. That's everything from these teeth that I've got right here now, so let's just wind those up and see how they work or don't work, as I recall, because these things, as I recall, were horrible. That might have something to do with the stuff underneath them, but I think it's also because the wind-up mechanisms just weren't particularly powerful. They didn't have much of a spring to them, so while I think they were easier to put together to wind up than, say, that mouse thing from earlier, they just didn't have much of a lifespan when it came to actually moving around. Oh, no, wait, hang on. Wait, was it just a case of... Yeah, let's free it from that and just see if that helps in any way, shape or form. It's one of those times when you wish you'd brought yourself a pair of scissors. And yes, that's working a lot better, but as soon as it collides with something, it stops. Yeah, it's just nearly went off the edge of the desk there, and now I'm just letting it go like crazy. Yeah, get a few of these together and successfully wind them up nice and tightly and whatnot, and just let them loose, and you will have a trip-up hazard of epic proportions. Kind of like if you were Macaulay Culkin in one of the Home Alone movies. I still haven't actually bothered watching the second one. I know there was a third one with some other kid playing either the same part, but maybe not. Actually, fun fact, when I actually looked up the Home Alone movies, and I've obviously checked Macaulay Culkin's resume and whatnot, he's actually the same age as me, which is kind of surprisingly sobering, but he has much better hair, despite his drug problem. So if you want to have good hair and you're a man, do drugs apparently, and it'll help. Don't do drugs, kids. Don't do drugs. Be serious here for 5 seconds. Don't do drugs. It won't do you any favours. Well, maybe your hair. But everything else will be completely ruined. Yeah, these things, these little wind-up toys now are really... Yeah, they're just... They're kind of working. They're just kind of random as well. Fun for all of about 5 seconds, methinks. Right, let's move on to something else. And we have translucent vampire bats. Are they glow in the dark? Of course they are, because they're translucent and very faint and whatnot. Actually, do these sort of translucent effects have some kind of limited lifespan? I know if you've got things like glow sticks that have always been really popular with ravers and whatnot, tend to get used a lot at this time of year. Do they... I know they have a limited lifespan. You can sort of keep them fresh by putting them in the freezer or something, but is the same true for this sort of thing as well? Let me know below. In the meantime, though, we've got this ghost thing, and I'm going to have to do another insert here, aren't I? I'm going to have to dig that out of storage and reshoot this bit and splice it in. So, here we go. And up next we have jumping beans. Glow in the dark jumping beans. Now, yeah, it seems a bit dubious, doesn't it? And I've got to admit, it seems even more dubious to me because obviously I've tested these things as I'm doing this voiceover, so I know what the effect is going to be. And to be brutally frank, it's very, very disappointing. They didn't work. They just did not work. They're in some sort of bizarre plastic containers that basically leaves them very secure, as if though they're an incredibly precious cargo. And then, if you're wondering about that jump cut, I'd been filming so long it had just naturally stopped at that point. DSLR cameras will only allow you to shoot video for a certain period of time, or at least mine does, usually about 20 minutes before it dies. But then, yeah, you got all these little tricks that it shows you can do, and just watch. I'm just going to drop it here, and it just lands and stays exactly where it is. Yeah. If a landing like that does nothing, then you don't really have much hope for it, do you? Yeah, and there's all these little tricks which, frankly, just doesn't seem to ring true. I mean, admittedly, I'm trying to kick it with my fingers towards something else, and obviously that's not going to work. You've just seen me literally throw it at the table, and it doesn't seem to have much impact whatsoever. Yeah, bit of a waste of time, to be brutally honest. It does kind of work a little bit when you throw it hard. As for the glow in the dark bit, Yeah, they all glow in the dark the same colour, which is kind of understandable given the material that they're made of, but it's the white bit that glows in the dark. The coloured bit, which is unique to each of the beings, doesn't have any kind of glow whatsoever. They just look dark colours. Dull, dark colours. And here's some glow in the dark type stuff. Now, I will have shot some more footage of this stuff. That'll be spliced in around about 3, 2, 1. And again, this was something else that looked like a good idea at the time. It's basically supposed to be a really cheap magic act. It's something you'd probably have picked up in some sort of Paul Daniels magic set for Halloween if Paul Daniels was ever that way inclined. He did do magic sets, it's just that they didn't really feature much to do with Halloween, if anything, as I recall. In fact, as I recall, I'm just segueing into a different subject here. Paul Daniels did have a magic set that got released twice, and it had exactly the same items in each time. It's just the second incarnation had more tricks. I think it was something like 150 tricks for the first incarnation of the box, and the second box it had 200 or something like that. And it was exactly the same stuff, which just goes to show, if you bought the first box, you got shortchanged as far as the instructions were concerned. As for this is just freaky body illusions. You've got this thumb in a box, you've got a tongue in a box kind of thing, and so on and so forth. I'm just going to jump to some of the proper footage here. So here we are with the magic box now open, or at least unpacked, and some of the other stuff coming out. And here's some trading cards. No, it's oh, well, you've got your Marvin's Magic Club. I haven't seen something like that since the 80s or the 90s. That was quite common. But then you've got one of those barcode scanner type things, and I'll be brutally honest, to this day, I have never actually used any of that sort of scanning thing. I know what you need to do with it to get it to work, but I just can't be bothered. I don't see the point. But yeah, here's the actual magic tricks itself. You've got the thumb, which when you put it on your own thumb, just sort of makes your own thumb look a bit bigger. At least it's flesh coloured, or at least white flesh. I mean, if you're not Caucasian, you're probably going to have to do a little bit of a paint job to make that match your own skin tone. And even if you are Caucasian and not incredibly pale like myself, you'll probably have to repaint it a bit as well. But yeah, you also got this little box thing with a hole in it, which doesn't really give you much interesting ideas. But then you've got all these little instructions, some of which is uses recycled artwork from the box, or should I say photographs from the box art, including the crazy tongue, which is right here. And yeah, that looks gross. Even at its packaging, it looks gross. But once you get it out and you sort of play around with it, and it feels even grosser. It really does look like a sort of slab of meat that could have literally have been taken out of somebody's mouth at the command of Joffrey from Game of Thrones, which he did on at least one occasion. Yeah, but I've decided to just leave it there and sort of... Yeah, I can think of a couple of disgusting things to say revolving somebody's girlfriend, if you want to really terrify her, but we won't go into that because this channel is supposed to be friendly to families. Oh dear, I've put the thumb on the wrong way. Oh well, what's next? An Oscar. Yes, an Oscar. Notice that my thumb is covering the plaque at the bottom, and there's a reason for that. Because this particular Oscar, if you can call it that, is for Best Costume. Now, there might actually be an actual category in the Oscars for that, but I just don't care. But it's a cheap little plastic base unit, and the actual top bit there is also cheap plastic. Screwed in place, and there's a barcode at the back. Yes. Oh, yes. Yes, it's an Oscar. Because we all know the Oscar connection to Halloween and the occult and devil worship and yes, that sort of stuff. Oh yes. Yes. I've got nothing else to say about that now, do I? It's a nice enough looking sculpt, it's just made out of cheap plastic, so let's move on to something else now. Right, so that's basically it in that regard. That was the end of the video. All the footage is now used up. I think I might do a little montage here. Bye bye!